Wind roars. The faint hum of engines rises like thunder in the dark, greater than "Welcome to the Soldier's Diary. Tonight we open a page written 30,000 feet above a sleeping Europe. A night when courage fell from the sky." This is the story of Operation Market Garden, September 1944, the largest airborne assault in history. I was there. I can still feel the cold metal of the jump light against my glove, and the silence before it turned green. The engines shake the fuselage. Inside, men hold their breath. We've rehearsed this 100 times, but rehearsal never includes the smell of fear. The air tastes of oil, sweat, and nerves. Someone mutters a prayer, someone else checks his chute again, though we all checked 5 times already. I grip the strap over my shoulder and stare at the light. Red. Still red. I tell myself, you volunteered for this. The mind answers back, why? The light flips green. The line moves. One man vanishes into the black. The next follows. Then it's my turn. Cold air hits like a slap. We were dropped miles off target. Everyone was. Radios crackle with half words. Static. Panic. Silence. Command wanted us to seize the bridges over the Rhine, open a road straight into Germany, end the war by Christmas. It sounded so simple on the map. On the ground, simplicity dies first. We move through orchards slick with dew, every leaf whispering like an enemy. Cows startle, a barn door creaks, a dog barks, and each sound is a gunshot in the imagination. I can feel adrenaline flooding my veins, the body's primitive alarm clock. Fear sharpens everything. Smell, sound, thought. It's exhausting clarity. We reach a farmhouse. A Dutch family hides inside. Eyes wide, faces thin. They offer water, whispering, "Britain? Amerikanen?" I nod. They show us the direction of Arnhem with trembling hands. Before leaving, the old man presses a folded paper into my hand, a local map drawn in pencil. His gift feels heavier than my rifle. By dawn, we link with another squad. 20 men now, half of them I've never seen before. The hierarchy dissolves fast in chaos. Rank matters less than who can think, who can move, who can lead. Planes roar overhead, not ours. We dive into mud. Tanks rumble in the distance. The radio operator fiddles with the dial, swearing softly. "Command's gone," he says. We're on our own. We crawl under hedgerows, sprint between ditches. Each movement feels both slow and sudden, the way nightmares unfold. My hands shake when I reload, not from weakness, but from too much awareness. Every click is thunder. We reach a small bridge, not the bridge, but one that leads toward it. The enemy already holds the far bank. 2 men volunteer to swim across with a rope line. I watch them disappear into the fog. One reaches the other side, the other doesn't. The survivor ties the rope. We go, one at a time, crawling hand over cold, dark water. My arms burn. I look down once. Mistake. The reflection of tracer fire flickers like lightning under the surface. When I reach land, my palms bleed, though I don't feel it until much later. By the second day, exhaustion becomes a kind of rhythm. The body learns to move on fumes, the mind narrows to what's in front of the muzzle. Food is secondary, sleep a rumour. We hear that other units have reached the main bridge but are pinned down. Our job now is to reinforce, if we can find them. The roads are choked with wreckage and silence. Occasionally a civilian darts from doorway to doorway, clutching a child or a loaf of bread. Liberation isn't clean. We enter a ruined village. The smell of smoke and wet brick fills the air. A church bell hangs sideways in its tower, frozen mid-toll. I write a note in my pocket diary. Still moving, still alive. Maybe that's victory. The enemy is everywhere and nowhere. Sniper fire snaps from windows. We respond with bursts, then silence again. The uncertainty eats at you. It's not the noise that kills nerves. It's the waiting. By the 3rd night, rain sets in. Constant, thin, relentless. My boots squelch with each step. My thoughts begin to drift in strange loops. The smell of home, the taste of coffee, the way silence there meant peace, not danger. Here, Silence is the loudest sound. Fear stops being sharp. It becomes dull, heavy, a blanket you can't take off. You learn to function under it, like breathing underwater. One of the men, Harris from Boston, starts talking about the baseball season mid-March, his voice too bright. It's how he fights the fear. Another hums a hymn. Each mind chooses its own armour. I catch myself smiling for no reason. Maybe that's mine. Near Oosterbeek we finally meet heavy resistance. The air fills with the roar of engines and the distant thump of artillery. Trees shatter around us. Dirt rains from the sky. My hearing goes thin, like being underwater again. Orders come through, half heard. Hold position. Wait for armour support that never comes. We dig in behind a low wall. The man beside me mutters, "This was supposed to be easy," I answer. "Nothing worth doing ever is." It's a lie we both agree to believe. Hours blur, the mind detaches, time stretches. I count heartbeats between bursts trying to control the uncontrollable. A small act of defiance against chaos. When darkness falls, we're still there, surrounded. Ammunition low, morale lower. I write again in my diary. We are ghosts already. The living kind. The night drags on, endless. Rain mixes with ash. Somewhere far off, a flare paints the clouds red. For a moment, it's beautiful. The kind of beauty you wish you'd never seen. I close my eyes and think of the light inside the plane before the jump. How simple it was. Red, then green, then go. If only every decision were that clear. The night didn't end. It just changed colours. When dawn came, it wasn't light. Just a paler kind of darkness. The rain had stopped, but the world stayed soaked, as if even the air was tired of the fighting. My fingers were raw, my weapons slick with mud. Somewhere nearby, a wounded man was calling for a medic who'd never come. I remember his voice, soft at first, then ragged, then gone. We huddled behind what was left of a farmhouse. Half the roof was gone, the rest caved in. Harris sat with his back against a wall staring into space. He wasn't wounded, not on the outside anyway. There's a point in every battle when the body survives but the mind steps away. I think he'd reached it. The sergeant crawled over. "We hold until dark," he said. "Then we move." No one gets left behind. No one argued, not because we believed it, but because belief had become a luxury. By midday, the sky filled with German planes, Stukas. The sound of their engines was a kind of scream that dug into your bones. We scattered into trenches, pressed our faces into the dirt. The ground shook like it was alive. You could feel the percussion in your chest more than you could hear it. When it stopped, the world was quiet again, except for the ringing in our ears. I looked up and saw smoke curling over Oosterbeek. The bridge, our bridge, was lost. The radio confirmed it an hour later. Command said to hold your positions. Hold? Against what? Against everything? We had no supplies left, no reinforcements, no way out. It's strange. What happens to fear when there's nowhere for it to go? It doesn't vanish. It hardens, turns into something like focus. You stop thinking about living or dying. You just think about doing. So we dug deeper. We moved into a 2-story house at the edge of the village. Windows shattered, doors gone. It became our stronghold. 5 men to a room. Every corner had a rifle pointing out. The air smelled of gunpowder and damp wallpaper. From the upstairs window I could see movement, silhouettes in the fog closing in. Then it started. Bursts of machine gun fire, sharp and relentless. Glass exploded, plaster rained down. I fired until the barrel smoked, until my shoulder ached. Each shot felt personal, as if the bullet carried a piece of me with it. Someone shouted that they were flanking us. We threw grenades through the window. The explosion lit the room like lightning. Then came the ringing silence again. When I looked down, Harris was gone. Just gone. No body, no sound. Sometimes death is loud. Sometimes it's quiet enough to make you doubt it happened at all. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time had stopped keeping score. I found myself staring at my hands, shaking but still obeying. The mind splits during battle. One part fights, the other watchers from somewhere else, detached, asking, "How am I still here?" At some point I realized the firing had stopped. Smoke drifted through broken windows, curling like thoughts you can't finish. I could hear birds again. That's how you know a fight is over, at least for now. I stepped outside. The air was thick with cordite and earth. The road was unrecognizable. Bodies, helmets, debris. A Dutch child's toy lay in the mud. A wooden soldier with one arm missing. I picked it up, wiped it clean, put it in my pocket. I don't know why. Maybe because it reminded me what all this was for, or maybe because I needed something to feel human again. By the 5th day, our lines had collapsed. Command finally gave the order to retreat across the river. We moved at night, silent, desperate. The moon hung low, pale and cold. Every sound felt like a death sentence. We reached the riverbank under sporadic shell fire. Boats waited, small, fragile, absurdly hopeful. I climbed in with 3 others. The current was strong, the water black. Oars dipped silently. Somewhere behind us the town still burned. Halfway across, the man behind me whispered, "We'll make it." I didn't answer. I didn't want to break the spell. When we reached the far shore, we collapsed in the mud. No cheers, no relief, just exhaustion so deep it felt like falling through the earth. Someone laughed, a dry, cracked sound. Someone else started to cry. Both felt right. They called it a strategic failure, a neat phrase for something so messy. Of the 10 men I jumped with, only 3 made it back. Weeks later, after evacuation, I sat in a tent hospital writing in my diary. The same notebook I'd carried from the plane to the river. Its pages were warped from rain, smudged with dirt and blood. I read the first entry again, still moving, still alive. And for the first time I wondered what that really meant. We'd lost the battle, yes, but we hadn't lost ourselves. We'd faced something no map could prepare us for. The collapse of certainty, the edge of fear, the raw machinery of survival. War isn't about who wins the ground. It's about who carries the memory afterward, and how heavy that memory becomes. Months passed. The noise faded, but the silence didn't. You start to notice strange things after war. The way footsteps behind you make your muscles tighten. The way fireworks sound like danger, not celebration. The mind stays on the battlefield long after the body comes home. They called it shell shock then. PTSD now. But names don't matter. What matters is how real it feels. The invisible echo that never stops. Sometimes I still hear the engines of that C-47. The hum, the tension, the moment before the light turns green. That sound carries me back to the sky, to the edge between fear and courage, the narrow place where men become stories. This was Operation Market Garden, a plan born of hope and undone by chaos. But beyond the strategy and the failure were the men, ordinary souls who jumped into history and found themselves face to face with their own humanity. Their diaries weren't written in ink, but in silence, sweat, and sacrifice. This has been the Soldier's Diary, where we open the pages of history not to glorify war but to remember what it cost.